You believed. You craved it. That night, when Pastor Voss passed you the plate, the meat glistening like sin under the church's ruby-stained glass, you didn't just eat, you feasted. It clung to your teeth, thick and coppery, but you told yourself it was grace. Later, you'd dream of their faces. Sarah's freckles floating in the stew, Maria's laughter echoing as you sucked marrow from the bone. You scrubbed the cellar walls afterward, painting over rust-brown streaks that smelled like the iron in your veins. Now, the prosecutor slams a photo on the table, your casserole dish brimming with her. You vomit. The jury votes guilty. But deep down, you've always known the truth. But you're still hungry for more. Welcome to True Crime Inquiry, where we don't just tell stories, we autopsy them. Tonight's case isn't about a lone wolf killer. It's about an entire town that dined on damnation. Pastor Elias Voss didn't just preach miracles, he served them, and his flock ate every last bite. Before we dive into this holy hellscape, hit like if you've ever trusted a stranger. Subscribe if you dare to learn how easily you could have become part of the menu. Redemption Creek wasn't always a graveyard. 20 years ago, it was the kind of town people fought to stay in, school plays, summer barbecues, church bells ringing every Sunday. But then the drought hit, crops died, jobs vanished, kids moved away and never called. By 2017, the only thing left in Redemption Creek was regret and hunger. That's when he showed up. Pastor Elias Voss rolled into town driving a rusty pickup with a Bible on the dash and a dead coyote in the bed. He didn't look like a savior. His jeans were patched. His hands shook when he talked. But when he stood in front of First Baptist Church and shouted, "God sent me to feed you," people listened, because by then, they'd eat anything. Voss didn't preach about hellfire or money. He talked about meat. You think God forgot you? He'd roar, sweat dripping off his beard. You think he wants you to starve? No, he's testing you. He's saying, prove your faith, and I'll fill your plates. The congregation ate it up. Literally, it started small. Voss handed out venison jerky after services, blessed protein he called it. Then came the miracle stew at potlucks, thick and salty. People swore it cured arthritis, depression, even cancer. By 2019, the church parking lot was packed every Sunday. License plates from 3 states over. Everyone wanted a taste of God's new favorite recipe. But the real showstopper was the miracle meat. No one knew where it came from. Voss claimed angels delivered it, venison, beef, pork, all divinely sourced. It showed up raw and glistening in the church kitchen every Friday. Volunteers seasoned it, grilled it, served it on paper plates with a side of Bible verses. It tasted strange, gamey, metallic. But when you're starving, even doubt tastes like faith. Old man Higgins was the first to ask questions. "Ain't no deer left in these woods," he muttered after a Sunday service, poking at a leftover rib. "Where's he really getting this meat?" The next week, Higgins vanished. Voss told the town he'd gone to walk with the Lord. The congregation nodded, ate another plate. Then the drought got worse. Creeks dried up. Cows dropped dead in the fields. But Voss' meat kept coming. People started calling it manna. They'd line up at dawn, clutching Tupperware like it was a sacrament. You didn't just eat the miracle meat, you proved something. That you trusted God. That you trusted Voss. And if you didn't, ask Marlene Cooper. She refused the meat at a prayer meeting, said it made her gums bleed. Voss stared her down and whispered, "Judas didn't eat the Last Supper either." The congregation stopped waving at her at the gas station, stopped letting her kids carpool. A month later, Marlene showed up with an empty crock pot, begging for seconds. By 2021, the rules got stricter. Want meat? Donate to the church. Want more meat? Volunteer. Want to be saved? Give everything. One night, a 10-year-old girl named Lily asked the question that should have ended it all. She was sitting in the front pew, picking at a pulled pork sandwich. Suddenly she held up a fingernail, pale pink, human-sized, stuck to the bun. "Mommy," she said, loud enough for the whole church to hear. "Is this people?" The room froze. Voss stopped mid-prayer. For one breath, one heartbeat, the spell cracked. Then the pastor laughed. "Oh, sweet child," he said, ruffling her hair. "That's just the devil trying to scare you. Now eat up. God's watching." And they did. Because by then Redemption Creek wasn't just hungry, it was addicted. The meat didn't taste like hope anymore. It tasted like needing to believe the lie, like shame, like fear. But here's the thing about eating miracles. Eventually you run out of angels to slaughter. The first to vanish was Sarah Carter. Sarah was 28, a waitress at the diner off Route 9. She scraped gum off church pews every Tuesday, sang hymns in a voice like cracked glass. She had a son, Cody, who drew pictures of Voss in Sunday school, stick figures with a beard made of lightning. The week she disappeared, Sarah donated a pint of blood to the church's new health ministry. Voss called it liquid faith. He promised her a free freezer bag of meat as thanks. She never picked it up. Then it was Maria Reyes. Maria was Redemption Creek's only nurse. She wore a cross necklace tangled in her stethoscope. When the congregants got sick, too much miracle meat, not enough stomach lining, she treated them for free. Maria's husband said she started acting strange after Voss asked her to run the blood drives. He told her the needles were holy, he said. She filled gallons. By the third woman the town stopped pretending it was a coincidence. Grace Lopez, single 32, worked the church food pantry. She'd been giving blood weekly. Voss said she had the purest plasma he'd ever seen. Her brother begged the cops to check the church basement. They laughed. You think pastor's a vampire? Grace's dog was found tied to the slaughterhouse gate 2 days later, starving, whimpering. Its bowl was full of miracle meat. The fourth was Hannah Wright. Hannah taught kids to knit prayer shawls. She blushed when Voss praised her, donated blood twice a week. Her parents found her bed made, her knitting needles stuck in a ball of yarn the color of raw liver, under her pillow. A note in Voss's handwriting, God hungers for your yes. The fifth was Emily Shaw. Emily was 19. Her mom's Toyota had a bumper sticker, my daughter is Voss's angel. She volunteered to clean the slaughterhouse, told friends it smelled like iron and incense. The day she disappeared she texted her boyfriend, Pastor says I'm special, he wants my blood. He replied, being weird. She wasn't. 5 women, 5 angels, all gone in 5 months. But here's what's funny, nobody panicked. Not at first. Pastor Voss called the vanishings a divine pruning, said the women had been chosen for higher service. The congregation nodded. What's 5 missing women compared to a town resurrected from dust? They'd traded dead crops for dead daughters and called it progress. If Voss says they're with God, Sheriff Moss said, they're with God. One night the mask slipped. Maria's brother hid a tape recorder under his shirt and went to Voss's office, begged for help. The pastor sighed, like Maria was a lost set of keys. Some lambs exist to be slaughtered, he said. Your sister's blood will feed miracles. Be grateful. The brother played the tape for the sheriff. The sheriff yawned. Sounds like a metaphor. Meanwhile, the slaughterhouse woke up. It had been rotting for years, rusted hooks, busted conveyor belts, floors sticky with old cow blood. But in June 2022, Voss announced a divine industry, said God wanted them to process their own meat, no more relying on angels. He winked. Volunteers scrubbed the place raw, repainted the sign, Redemption Creek Holy Meats. They didn't ask why the locks on the back rooms were fist-sized, didn't blink when Voss hired security, men with prison tattoos and bolt cutters. The meat shipments got bigger. 50-pound crates of divine cuts arrived weekly, no labels, no invoices, just Voss's scroll on the side, praise the Lord. The USDA got curious, sent an inspector. He lasted 10 minutes, sniffed a package of ground beef, frowned. This isn't cow, he said. Voss handed him a Bible and a plate of ribs. Taste and see, he smiled. The inspector left, filed a report, biological anomalies detected. Sample resembles human tissue. The state buried it. Why? Because Redemption Creek was thriving. Tour buses came for the miracle meat. News crews filmed Voss praying over grills. The governor gave him a medal. A true American shepherd, she called him. And the congregation, they ate, and ate, and ate, and ate. But the meat changed them. They craved it raw, smeared it on toast for breakfast, sucked the grease off their fingers. Kids brought meatball subs to school, bragged, "My dad says this is Leah's arm," and laughed like it was a joke. It wasn't. Because in the slaughterhouse basement, the divine industry was humming, hooks sharpened, saws singing, and far away, in a quiet house on the edge of town, a little boy named Cody colored a new picture, his mom floating in a freezer, her blood in a pastor's ladle. Teacher says I have an imagination, he told his grandma. He didn't. The slaughterhouse didn't smell like death. It smelled like church. frankincense burning in rusty oil drums, hymns blasting from a cracked speaker. Pastor Voss in a blood-stained apron, humming as he sharpened his knives. The Holy Meats crew worked nights, deacons, truckers, a few ex-cons Voss called his disciples. They didn't ask questions. They didn't need to. Not when the women started screaming. Leah Carter was first. They dragged her into the slaughterhouse at midnight, gagged with a communion cloth. Voss pressed a hand to her forehead. "Thank you for your sacrifice," he said. Then he nodded to the crew. What happened next wasn't murder. It was butchery. They hung her from a hook by her ankles. Voss slit her throat like a pig's. Blood drained into a kiddie pool labeled holy water, do not drink. Her skin came off in strips. Meat peeled from bone, organs sorted into buckets, liver for chili, hearts for sausage, bones boiled into broth. The crew worked fast. They had to. By dawn Sarah was gone. What remained got ground into patties, mixed with pork and sage. God loves a casserole, Voss joked, tossing a lung into a meat grinder. The crew laughed. They had to. But the worst part, it wasn't even the worst part. The slaughterhouse had rules. 1. No names, because the women were called lambs. 2. No waste, because hair went into pillows. Teeth went into jewelry. 3. No guilt, because Voss said the screams were angels singing. They almost believed him, until Tamara Reyes fought back. Tamara woke up mid-process. The crew had sawed off her legs when she started shrieking. Voss held her face, whispered, "This is love, sister. Let God in." She spat in his eye. He sighed. "Fine, let her feel it." They let her bleed out slowly. When her heart stopped, Voss plucked it out, still warm. "This one's special," he said. He ate it raw like an apple. The crew clapped. They had to. By fall the town got sick. First headaches. Then tremors. People forgot words. Forgot faces. Old man Grady bit his wife's arm at a potluck, screaming, "I need it rarer." Kids drooled through Sunday school, drawing pictures of meat with human eyes. Voss called it a spiritual detox. "The devil's leaving your body," he preached. "Praise the pain." They did, but the sickness wasn't the devil. It was them. Human meat does things to a brain. Prions, tiny killers, chew holes in your thoughts. Turn you into a zombie, a cannibal, a joke. The coroner figured it out first. Dr. Alicia Nguyen autopsied old man Grady after he choked to death on a communion wafer. She sliced open his brain. It looked like Swiss cheese. "This isn't disease," she told the sheriff. "This is people. He's been eating people." The sheriff shrugged. "Pastor says it's blessed." Dr. Nguyen quit, moved to Idaho, burned her lab coat. Voss held a sermon about her the next week. "Some souls fear the truth," he said, serving Grady's ribs as appetizers. The deacon's name was Carl Miller, 34, Sunday school teacher, father of 2. He joined the slaughterhouse crew to feel closer to God. He wrote everything down. October 12th, "Pastor says the lambs are gifts, but their eyes follow me. I see Maria's in the sausage." October 29th, "Found a fingernail in my lunch. Pastor laughed. Protein is protein." November 3rd, "Heard Emily Shaw singing last night. Impossible, she's been gone for weeks. Pastor says it's a miracle. I think it's the vents." November 15th, I can't. Carl's wife found the journal under their mattress. She didn't scream, didn't cry. She packed the kids in her car and drove to the police. The sheriff read one page, called Voss. Carl disappeared the next day. His journal leaked online. The town called it fake news. The governor called it sinful lies. Voss called it a test. Would Judas write a diary? He sneered in a sermon. The congregation howled with laughter. But in the slaughterhouse the crew got nervous. One quit. His body turned up in the creek missing his tongue. "Suicide," the sheriff said. Another tried to flee. His truck exploded. "God's will," Voss shrugged. The rest kept working. They had to. By winter the sickness spread. Congregants gnawed their own fingers during sermons. Mothers forgot their kids' names. Teenagers hummed nursery rhymes as they stirred pots of blessed stew. And Voss, he glowed. His sermons got wilder, darker. He ranted about cleansing the weak, offered discount salvation for extra meat. People lined up. They didn't care about the holes in their brains. They just wanted more. But the deacon's journal haunted them. At night they'd hear Emily's voice in the wind, see Maria's face in the gravy, dream of Carl's body on the hooks. They ate through it, because that's what faith had become, swallowing the truth to keep the lie alive. The cops knew. They always knew. Sheriff Moss got his first bribe in 2021, a foil-wrapped meatloaf, still warm, left on his squad car. Voss's note, "A tithe for your silence." Moss ate it in 3 bites. When Leah's mom called screaming about her missing daughter, he belched and said, "Maybe she's fasting." Deputy Carl Riggs took bribes too. Ribs mostly. His wife loved them. "Tastes like guilt," she joked. He didn't laugh. After Tamara vanished, Carl found a human molar in his takeout box. He flushed it, told his wife it was a popcorn kernel, told himself it was a metaphor, but the worst was Officer Jenna Pike. Single mom, Bible study leader. She took her payment in holy bacon, fried crisp, dripping with grease. When Maria's brother played her the tape of Voss admitting to slaughter, Jenna crumpled. "I thought it was just weird steak," she sobbed later. "I didn't know it was her." They didn't just ignore the screams from the slaughterhouse, they seasoned them. The potlucks were supposed to be joyful. They weren't. Every Thursday, the church basement turned into a buffet of denial. Congregants brought casseroles, salads, pies, all made with Voss special meat. They prayed over the food. They sang. They ate their friends. No one knew, not at first. Then came the Sunday after Emily vanished. Her mom Linda brought her famous hash brown bake to the potluck. Emily's little girl, Rosie, begged for seconds. "It's extra juicy, Grandma." Linda beamed. "That's your mama's secret recipe," she said. It was. 2 weeks later, the FBI showed Linda a photo. Emily's thigh bone, stripped bare, found in the church dumpster. Linda screamed so hard she tore her vocal cords. "I fed her to my grandbaby," she rasped. "I fed her to my grandbaby." The worst part, she wasn't the only one. Sarah's son Cody won a school essay contest writing about his mom's famous chili, the secret ingredient, Leah's biceps. Maria's husband donated her leftover stew to a homeless shelter. 6 people ended up in the ER. "Too spicy," they cried. But the congregation kept eating. They couldn't stop. Voss called it holy addiction, said the meat was rewiring their souls. People licked their plates, sucked marrow from bones, dug through trash for scraps. One man carved God's protein into his arm with a steak knife. They didn't care what they were eating, they just needed more. Until Gwen Parker ruined everything. Gwen was 63, widowed. She'd been in the church choir for 40 years, sang at every funeral, including her husband's. Voss gave her a free ham after the service. "Joe's in heaven," he said, "but his flavor's still here." Gwen ate it. Then in February 2023, she got a letter from her doctor. Stage 4 kidney disease, caused by human tissue consumption, it said. Gwen didn't flinch. She'd known since she found Joe's wedding ring in a batch of sausage. But when Voss asked her to donate her own kidneys to the health ministry, Gwen snapped. She stole a Ziploc bag of holy ground beef from the church freezer, mailed it to the FBI with a note, "Taste test this." Lab results came back in 72 hours. 100% human, 100% female, 100% murder. The agent in charge threw up twice. Then he called the governor. The raid happened at dawn. 12 FBI agents, 4 body cams, 1 warrant. They kicked in the church doors, guns raised, and found Voss at the altar. He was praying over a crock-pot. "Welcome," he said, grinning. "Hungry?" The agents didn't answer. They followed the stench, sweet and rotten, like birthday cake left in a coffin, to the basement. What they found there wasn't a crime scene. It was a grocery store. Freezers lined the walls, humming like hymns. Labels read Eucharist Reserve, Sarah and Maria, extra lean. Agents opened one and found stacks of vacuum-sealed hearts. Another held rib cages, polished white as pews. One rookie snapped photos until he found a soup pot simmering on a hot plate. Inside, a strip of tattooed skin bubbled in broth. The tattoo said Maria in cursive. The rookie vomited into his gloves. Upstairs, Voss laughed. "Careful," he said. "That's tonight's supper." The trial lasted 3 days. Voss didn't deny a thing. "I'm a chef," he shrugged. "They brought me the ingredients." His defense was simple. "You think I'm a monster? Look in the mirror. Your neighbors, your grandma. They begged for seconds. They licked their forks clean. I didn't force them. I just seasoned their sins." The jury didn't buy it, until the third day. A juror named Mrs. Klein, a Sunday school teacher with a God Bless Redemption Creek tote bag, suddenly screamed, "I ate the chili," she wailed, clawing at her throat. "I ate the chili. I ate the chili." Guards dragged her out. The courtroom buzzed. Voss leaned back, smug. "See, she's still hungry." They found him guilty anyway. Life in prison, no parole. But as they led him away, he whispered to the cameras, "You'll miss me when the meat runs out." Redemption Creek didn't collapse after the trial. It rotted. The slaughterhouse was bulldozed. The church became a tourist trap, ghost hunters sneaking in at night, TikTokers licking the floor for residual flavor. But 60% of the congregation still defends Voss. Old man Higgins' widow leaves raw steak at his grave. Pastor's coming back, she insists. He'll bring the good meat. Tamara's husband hangs missing posters in a town that hates him. Kids throw miracle meat at his head. And every Sunday, a dozen loyalists meet in a barn outside town. They sing hymns. They pass around a mystery stew. They call it Communion 2.0. The FBI watches. The FBI waits. But they can't arrest belief. Last month, a reporter visited the barn. She found a woman in the corner, Bible open on her lap. The woman dipped her finger in grease pooling on the pages, sucked it clean and smiled. "Worth it," she said. The reporter asked why. "Before Pastor, this town was nothing." The woman hissed. "Now, we're famous. We're fed. You think a few dead girls matter? You think anything matters, except not being hungry." The reporter left. The congregation ate, and in his prison cell, Voss got his last miracle. A fan mail from a vegan chef. "Your recipes. Inspiring," it read. "Let's collaborate." If this story made you sick, you're not alone. But ask yourself, would you have smelled the rot in the recipe? Would you have questioned the man who promised you heaven on a plate? Share this video with anyone who thinks cults come with warning labels. Subscribe to True Crime Inquiry, because the next monster might be handing you a plate and smiling.